Hi, my name is Jessica Abawag, and I'm the owner and speech-language pathologist at Fluens Children's Therapy. We have locations in Tacoma, Washington, and Columbia, Tennessee, and we provide speech therapy for kids. Today we're going to talk about AAC, and more specifically, does AAC prevent speech development in children? First, what does AAC even mean? AAC stands for Alternative Augmentative Communication. And essentially what that means is speaking is the fastest way for people to communicate. But when people aren't speaking, are there other tools and strategies that can come alongside and support that communication? Are there alternative, other ways for people to communicate, whether that's through sign language, pictures, a voice output device like a computer or a machine or a phone that talks for somebody? All of those are different examples of AAC. That's an alternative way. There's also an augmentative way, which we all use. A lot of us use cell phones and text people and add emojis to the text that we send to people. That's a way to augment or add to our communication. So in that sense, it's a written communication, but we want to use an emoji to add to that. So like I said, AAC stands for Alternative Augmentative Communication, and a lot of times we'll have parents ask us or be a little cautious or hesitant to utilize AAC because they don't want it to stop their children from being able to speak, which I completely understand. The goal is always to get someone to talk again because that's the fastest way to communicate. But we know that the reality is that not every individual is going to be able to speak or to speak as clearly and comprehensively as everybody else. And that's okay. That's why there's AAC exists, to augment or replace an alternative way for people to communicate. So we often talk with parents about using AAC is not going to stop a kid from speaking. In fact, research shows the complete opposite, but it's going to allow the relationships and the communication to be deeper and more meaningful and to flow better. Because if a child is getting frustrated because they can't talk and we're not giving them another way to communicate what they're feeling, what they want, what they don't want, they're going to eventually lead to frustration or behaviors or shutting down. So we often talk with parents about why AAC can be so important. And I'm thinking of a client that I just recently started working with. She came in and she didn't have any words. She wasn't speaking. She was using some vocalization, so making some noises, not a whole lot of gestures, maybe a couple of signs. And she would follow along with what I was telling her just fine, but she didn't have a way to express herself. And once we introduced a voice output device, so again, a machine, it kind of looked like an iPad, and kids can push the button and it speaks the word for them. She just lit up, and she's now learning how to use that machine, and she's getting excited because now she has a way to communicate, and our relationship can build, and her relationship with her family and friends and people in the community can be that much stronger because she now has a way to communicate. It may not be talking. She may eventually start talking, or she may not, but at least she has a way to communicate now. And again, if it's not a machine, people can use pictures to help communicate. A kid can hand a picture of a yogurt to their mom. Mom knows, oh, they're hungry, they want yogurt. Give the yogurt to their kid. Still modeling the word yogurt with the hopes that he'll imitate it one day or get close to it. But in the meantime, there's a way, an avenue for him to communicate. So I really strongly consider, if this is something that you are struggling with your child, or an avenue that your speech therapist has recommended that you explore, I highly recommend looking into it because it can be so beneficial for children and adults to utilize AAC in a way for them to form more meaningful relationships and be able to have a way to express themselves and communicate. And if you don't yet have a speech therapist that you're working with, but you have some concerns about your child's communication, even if kids are talking, but what the words that they're saying aren't very clear, oftentimes we'll use AAC even in situations like that where they're still learning to pronounce their sounds more clearly. So it's not just for kids who aren't talking at all. But again, if you don't have a speech therapist, but you're concerned about your child's speech and language development, I encourage you to give us a call so we can see how we can help.